Hello, welcome to Staring Down the Storm, Autism, Advocacy in America. I'm your host, Tabitha Ziegler. All right, everybody, and we're back with Sarah McCorkle. We've got some interesting things to talk about. Well, let's just start with Tylenol and autism.
Let's get right into it then.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts as a mom that was pregnant with an autistic child that, was your body?
What do you mean?
Your body, your choice?
Yeah. Well, obviously Tylenol was the cause of my children's autism. No.
In all seriousness.
In all absolute seriousness. I have two, arguably two autistic children. Mm-hmm. Remains to be seen with the second one. I'm not a fan of acetaminophen in any form, not because it has anything to do with autism, or at least that, but because I personally don't think it's a super effective drug because it's been out for a million years. Mm-hmm. I was not a big Tylenol taker for that reason because it just really never worked for me. Mm-hmm. When I was pregnant, I absolutely suffered migraines. So I'm sure I probably took Tylenol a couple of times, but those migraines actually sent me to the hospital.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Both pregnancies, like intense, horrible. And with that, what do you think they do when you go to the hospital? Well, now there are stronger drugs, mm-hmm. much stronger, that they're giving me that are marked safe for pregnancy.
Under the care of a physician.
100% yes. And it helped my migraines, and it helped my body de-stress in a way that was the best thing for my growing child at the time. Mm-hmm. And at no point did I feel there is nothing that makes me believe or feel or know that any of those medications affected my children's autism. I have every reason and have read enough to firmly believe that it's genetic. But to take that a step further, any person who's ever been pregnant and is prescribed medications, which if someone in this country is not taking medications, I want to meet them because unless they're intentionally doing it, it's hard to escape that, right? You go to the doctor, you tell them you're sad, they give you an antidepressant or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. That's fine. I'm not complaining. I need my antidepressants. Mm-hmm. Leads me into my next point. Yep. When you are pregnant and growing another human, everything you put into your body, you have to consider. Mm-hmm. We all know that. Mm-hmm. So when you get pregnant and you're prescribed, can I talk about my medications? Does that matter?
We can talk about it all, and I think it would be helpful to be.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm prescribed several medications. The one I want to talk about, I think, for this purpose is Zoloft. Mm-hmm. I've been on Zoloft for years and years and years. I'm on a very, I think, probably a normal maintenance dose. I was on a much lower dose when I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. Point is, I was cautioned, of course, not that nobody said, hey, this is going to cause autism or this is going to hurt your child. What they said was, we don't know enough to say exactly how this would affect you. So take it. And so you got to think about all those things, right?
Because they don't actually do studies on pregnant women. So there's not the data.
For that, for sure, which is most, I'm so glad you said that because we haven't even touched on that.
Yeah, well, I'm good for that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. No studies, nothing like that. But the analogy that I used was when you're on a plane, what do they tell you? They tell you, put your oxygen mask on first before you help the baby next to you, before you help the person next to you. Mm-hmm. And my whole feeling, and actually a conversation I had with my physician was, I need to know that I am feeling like my best self mentally, physically, emotionally, as best I can to serve my baby, sure, to grow this child in the best way I can. Mm-hmm. So I, as the mother and owner of my body, mm-hmm, am going to look at benefits and risks, because pregnancies are risk from day one. Being pregnant is hard and scary, and it's its own.
As an adult, right? I think that's an important thing that's coming up lately because let's just talk about the elephant in the room, because there's a lot of men out there deciding, what the age of consent and what the age of, entering into a marriage and childbearing should be. So we're speaking from adult bodies
Yes.
that made adult choices. I think
Yes.
that's important to note.
It is important to note. And actually, there's a whole other rabbit hole there.
I know.
But all of that to say, if you are not taking care of yourself when you're pregnant, that's going to affect your child. And it can be that broad of a statement, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's not one it's not any of those things. And it's genetic. My point is nobody gets to dictate, except for possibly you and your physician, what you put into your body, because you are putting it into your body to better yourself, to be the right home to grow your babies. I don't know how eloquently I just said all of that, but I think the point remains that you have to help yourself, because the alternative, we can talk about that.
Yes.
I can get really depressed. I know my body very well. I feel changes very well. And when I was thinking, do I want to take my antidepressant when I'm pregnant or do I not? What I decided was I don't want to be horribly depressed. Babies feel that too. I don't know what postpartum is going to feel like. I don't know the hormonal composition of my body right now. I'm going to take the medication that for years has helped me not feel depressed to serve my child. And we should be doing things for ourselves. I don't disagree with that at all. But I do think a pregnant woman naturally is thinking about what they're doing for their child. So regardless of any quote unquote correlation of Tylenol or anything else for that matter, I don't think there's any mom out there that is putting anything in their body that they don't think they absolutely have to stay healthy for their child. I think that sums it up.
Well, I think there's an important conversation that needs to be had about, like the two main types of fever reducing medication that's been around for a while, which I might add, Tylenol, acetaminophen. I'll have to check the exact date. I want to say it's the 1950s, but
55.
there you go. See, great minds think alike. Autism was around prior to that, so that's a conversation that can be had in itself. But also, why would we trust anyone that's not a physician, right? Like, I think that's dangerous ground.
Well, the overlapping, our politics are way too integrated in our medicine. It's way too capitalist and it's way too political. Medicine should be about the health of humans, and it just plain old isn't. And that again is another arm of this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, I don't know how we'll go into this. Sorry.
Look, there's Tylenol and there's ibuprofen. And there are nurses and doctors out there right now saying, combating this stuff, that Tylenol is the only safe medication for pregnant women. You cannot take ibuprofen when you're pregnant. So there are people, and there are politicians right now, saying that exact thing. That, maybe don't take Tylenol, maybe take ibuprofen. That's wrong. When you're pregnant, when you're anticipating being pregnant, that's what you go to medical professionals for. You don't go to politicians to give you advice on expertise that they have no expertise in.
Right. 100%.
Because it's dangerous. Because they haven't studied it.
Not only have they not studied it, but they might read a study.
Yeah.
But if you read a study, for one, you're not the expert. But for two, if you take it, there are too many interpretations. And at least one I've seen is that if, let's say, a politician reads a scientific study about a medication and they want to speak on it, but it doesn't change the rest of the agenda or the things that they want to talk about. So they're going to loop that in together. And now you have the most harmful thing possible, because now you've taken a Harvard study, interpreted it how you wanted to, not how it was written, how you wanted to, and then went on television and said whatever you wanted to say. And now you are literally harming American people and children and moms and all these people. For what? For what?
Well, I have lots of thoughts on for what, and I'll start with eugenics, which is never good, and that's a whole other subset of a rabbit hole.
But you're right. That's what it is.
We can have a full blown podcast episode about just eugenics in general, but let's just be honest. For those of us that even know what the word eugenics mean, and for the history of that, and the things that happened in this country, it's dangerous ground. And I think when you talk to the autism moms, some things that were said about Tylenol and autism, it started ringing bells. For me, I consider myself a fairly educated person, but anytime that a medical professional is not coming on, it makes me leery.
Yeah, well...
leery is about the best way I can put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hear the danger bells when politicians start talking about medication, especially in relation to autism.
Well, because you have to be nervous about the end goal.
My brain goes to eugenics every single time.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the end goal?
Yeah. Which
Your
is
agenda.
terrifying. The fact that we're saying that in a conversation over coffee in the United States of America is wild to me.
Well, everybody else is saying it in every other country.
That's true.
So we might as well say it because people aren't having these conversations.
You're right.
And yeah, so let's talk about the big pink elephant in the room, eugenics. And if you don't know what eugenics is about, while the information is still out there, who knows how long it will be there.
Great point.
Really.
Yeah.
But Google eugenics.
Yeah.
Find out like the history in the U.S. of what was happening with different things. I'll just leave that there. If you guys have questions, if you want us to do a full-blown episode on it, I'll do that.
Tag me in.
Yeah, I know a lot about it. And, let's just, and I will say, I'm not a medical professional. I'm just curious. I just want to know because my kids are affected by it.
Yes, exactly. And so then to I guess rewind a little bit, but to go back to all of us autism moms, we're blaming ourselves. We didn't need anybody to tell us anything. We're going to blame ourselves.
Sure.
It's what we're going to do. We're going to question everything because seeing your child go through something that is uncomfortable, hard, socially debilitating, physically debilitating, it is the most painful thing to see, to watch. So as a parent, you want to find anything you can do. You're going to be introspective and go, what did I do to create this problem for my child and how can I fix it? Mm-hmm. Nobody had to say anything about us for us to feel that way. We didn't cause it. We didn't. And I know that. And I can say that and I feel good about it.
Yeah, but it takes us a while to figure that out.
100% yes. Years. I would say probably my son was 5.
Yeah. I'm just going to say this. I think it's important. And I'm annoyed by it. I'm annoyed by a lot of things, but I find it is almost always the moms that are leading the charge. And I find it simply egregious that the men that have autistic children are not stepping forward, especially the men that we know in politics that are.
Yeah.
That they're saddling themselves over, the way I see it, they may not see it this way, and they're entitled. We're all entitled to our opinion. But I know the moms that take a bullet for their kids.
100%.
I'm not saying the dads won't, but I'm just saying it's time for the dads to step up. Like, here's your platform, especially if you have a platform. Like, if you feel that way and all your alarm bells aren't ringing, you need to, like, sit with that.
Yep.
And evaluate that. Like, do you feel because you're holding political office that your child would be spared? Because I don't think so.
No.
And so the type of things we're talking about, if you don't use your platform right now to speak for your child,
Yeah.
like forget the rest of our kids, even if it's just selfishly where it's like, right, I have an autistic child, I have this platform, I just want to make it clear that I have an autistic child, that I'm worried about this,
Yeah.
that I'm willing to go against the party for my child. I think that would be really important.
Yep.
And to be completely honest with you, like that makes me question a person's character.
I would agree with that. I would definitely question where their priorities lie.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I knew that person, it would kind of go, I'd go, you know, if I,
What's that about?
yeah. And I think, what did you just say? I forgot my train of thought.
About if you're in politics and using your platform to speak for your child.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So not only is autism nonpartisan, medicine is nonpartisan.
Of course.
And some people have come across that line and realize, you know, I cannot stay loyal to whichever party, because my child's more important.
Yeah.
And no one's asking somebody to choose your child or your party.
Yes.
But at least for me, I would want to make sure that everyone understood where I stood on a topic if it did go in the face of the party I associated with.
Well, this is why I'm so aggressive with it. And I will say aggressive on purpose because it's important. Like, I feel like this. They're all our children. And so, like, I hope you know this. Like, I'd take a bullet for your kid.
Same.
That's how I feel as moms. Like, I'm not going to let some nonsense go down with any kid at all. Maybe I should be clear. All kids, right? Because I'm not trying to say, like, our children should have
Oh, yeah,
precedence.
no.
But, you know, it always goes back to the least of this. And I was raised in the church, and every single time I see something like that, I'm one that can't turn away.
Yep.
And that's why I find it extremely irritating. And whenever I know things about certain people, I'm like, people, dude, woman, whatever, like, where's your backbone?
Yeah.
Like, you have an opportunity in a moment right here to prove to people what kind of person you are, what kind of character you have, that they can trust you.
Yep.
And this is, like you said, one topic that's bipartisan.
Yeah.
That, like, this is what people want. Like, and I'm going to go here too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just autism, but, like, aren't you pissed that there are all these women right now that are speaking out and said these horrible things happened to them as children? Like, any of the guys that have wives, grandma, sister, cousin, daughter, whatever, like, isn't something inside you with your manliness right now just steaming? Because, like, I know a lot of good guys that are Republican. I just can't see that from them. Like, I'm not really hearing a lot of people making a lot of excuses, but I think it's something worth talking about.
Well,
Like,
because they're not saying anything.
yeah, just say something. Like, you know this stuff is bad.
Yeah.
You know you won't do or maybe I'm putting words in people's mouths. I guess what I think is there are more of us that are more alike than we are different.
100%.
Especially the working class that, like, it doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Jewish, Muslim, whatever. Like, there are some lines that just aren't crossed. And it would seem that the line is rich or poor. And most of the more middle class and poor, not saying that never happens, but I want to hear more from these people.
Yeah.
Like, clearly the upper crust from the dawn of time have always been taking advantage, but we have an opportunity right now, like, for our generations to say, hell no, this is bullshit.
Yeah. And we have an opportunity, I think, this is, it's a bit of a tangent, but in social media, we haven't even talked about social media, but in the land of social media. And then I could be wrong on this, but to paraphrase, we grew up in a time where the most technological changes in the shortest amount of time, right? The most technology advancements or what have you happened in our lifetime in a shorter amount of time than any other generation.
Right.
And that's been great and terrible, as all things are. But I think for it's a tool, and it can be used as a tool.
Yeah.
But it needs, if you have a platform, if you have the ability to put information out, you have been given this tool. So again, who do you want to be?
Yeah.
Because
Where's your line?
where's your line? And if you want to, there are way too many ways. Everyone has a platform now, right? Social media.
Yeah, probably.
And there are way too many ways to lie on social media and to say and do whatever you want, and no one's fact checking anything. And what is fact checking, honestly, at this point? My point being, there is a lot of there's just a lot of room for people to make pivotal decisions and broadcast them, so to speak. And there are people that should be doing that that aren't. And that's not even me coming for them necessarily. I'm just saying social media is a really cool tool. And those of us that grew up researching in the library and an encyclopedia that now have the internet, and we see the difference in how facts have, you can't change the paper in the encyclopedia, you know what I mean? You can erase it, but you jump online and you can create 5 different versions of the encyclopedia. I think it's important to have that collective set of knowledge, as opposed to some of these younger generations are fighting really hard, and I'm excited for that. Point is, they never had that.
Right.
So facts to them have always been on the internet.
I see your point.
Sorry, was that a very long-winded way to make
No,
my
it's
point?
fine. Yeah, I'm following you.
Yeah. It's just, it's dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. And I think we're losing sight of where the truth is. And I think the younger you are, the less places you know how to look for the truth.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think our generation, because I know I'm a little older than you, maybe 55 and lower.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe 55 to 35?
Yeah.
That area. We have an obligation now, because we had access to that, of the fact-checking stuff, of the, checking books out from the library. It is our generation's time to lead and to show the younger generations, what's okay, what's acceptable, what's not, but also safeguard them.
Yeah.
We should now. I am probably very controversial on some things. I feel strongly about this because I have nieces and nephews that are teenagers. And all I can think of when I see some of this stuff going on social media, and we're not talking about my kids, we're talking about my nieces and nephews now.
Right.
All I can think to myself is, for the girls, what they're seeing and hearing is that the world is a more dangerous place than it was for our generation.
Correct.
And that's bad.
It's scary.
And for the boys, that it's convoluted. And they were taught a thing, and now it's being walked back, and they may be unclear on where the line is. And so I think the line needs to be reestablished in things like SA, for example.
Yep.
There are people out there, and there are conversations being had that the youngsters that are under 18 are watching us, as they always do.
Yes.
And we need to reaffirm in the communities where the line is.
Yeah.
For basic things. And if we don't, the danger of that, I'm very scared of.
Yes. And to your point exactly there, the consistency with which we speak or post or whatever. If I'm saying, to my autistic child, I love you, I'm here for you, but I'm posting online something that goes in the face of that, how confusing must that look for children? And I think that lends itself to both conversations there of we just have too much freedom because influence is more important than expertise. And we're doing more harm to our children than we realize by acting like different people in different settings.
Well, I think a lot of the generations that experienced real depravity are gone.
Agreed.
And so those of us that heard those stories, right, from our great-grandparents or our grandparents that, were in Normandy or, in Germany or wherever, and saw these horrific things, maybe they talked about it, maybe they didn't, but we were actively educated on it, and we know that history, and maybe we kind of need a refresher every once in a while. But that's different than these kids now, where it seems like history is being manipulated.
Malleable.
And it's being erased. And they're in this weird matrix. I often joke with my friends, bad joke. It's horrifying. But
Well, if we don't laugh, what do we do?
yeah, but basically we were talking the other day and I was like, yeah, it's like we're in the Matrix, like pick the red pill or the blue pill. And I'm like, what are we doing to our kids?
Yep.
Like they've not even had the opportunity to get their feet underneath themselves.
Yeah.
We know better.
Yeah.
We know better. And for those people that are like intentionally doing this to the kids,
Yeah.
that's wrong. Like we obviously in history class and stuff like that, we know this, you know. We're kind of taught the like colonialized version of US. We may not know that at the time. We learn that when we're older. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I think we can do better. But to walk back some of that stuff, I'm like, no bueno. You know, these kids, what are we doing?
I know. And they feel, I have two thoughts on that. Well, actually, I probably have 200 thoughts on that. But the two that come to mind are, for one, children feel like they have to pick a side.
Yep.
You don't have to pick a side. We didn't have to pick a side. And I mean that from kind of a political standpoint. And they might not recognize it as picking a political side, but they do when their algorithm is feeding them whatever it is they're clicking on, right? So now they're not even exposed to the other opinion because their algorithm has said, oh, this person likes this information. This is what I'm going to feed them.
Well, not just that. I mean, just in the households, right? Like,
Oh, or yes.
we often still maybe have like multi-generational households.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, especially in the Midwest, we would still lean towards having an enormous amount of respect for our elders and maybe even our generation. I am plagued by this. This is why I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm plagued by this whole thing of having respect for my elders and letting them get away with too much that I know is wrong.
Yes.
Because now I'm a parent. And finding where that line is, because when you know better, you do better.
Yes, that's true.
It's tricky.
It is tricky. And that line's important.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I hadn't exactly thought of it like that. We were talking about, this is what happens late in the afternoon. I forget my trains of thought that
That's all
quickly.
right. You've got kids.
Yeah, blame them for sure, although that's a reason, not an excuse. You had just said we were talking, social media.
Yep.
And then I had
The
different
kids.
generations. Yeah. Algorithm. There was another key point there that has totally escaped me.
That's all right. We talked about something else before we started recording, which I think is important to mention. Let's talk about what we were speaking about earlier in the autism community. And
Yeah.
I'll just say it like this. I'm not asking permission anymore. Like, people need to start coming to the moms, coming to the families for expertise. And if organizations aren't asking us to have a seat at the table, they're missing the buck. Because right now, the type of things that are going on, you need people that are living it actively in the community, that are either caregivers, moms, dads, grandparents, whatever, adult autistic people that can speak from experience. And
Yes.
yeah, we had a conversation about
Yep.
that, and I knew you had lots to say, so let's just elaborate on that.
I think there are things in life that we can look at a scenario and go, yeah, I could see how that'd be really difficult. Or I could see how that'd be great. Or I can see how that would make someone tired or something. And we can empathize. And that's great. I think being an autism parent is not one of those things. I think it is the most nuanced. And I'm not saying it's the most difficult thing in the world. What I am saying is the specific kind of challenges are so specific to being an autism mom. And I'm not talking about the medical part. I'm not even really talking about the things that somebody else would say, yeah, that looks tough. I'm talking about the things that people don't see unless they're doing it every day. Mm-hmm. I hadn't come to this conclusion when we were speaking earlier, but as I'm sitting here thinking and talking through it more, it's not one of the reasons that I think it is so important to talk to the moms and talk to the parents that are living it every day is because it is too intricate and it is too nuanced to try to put into any real words or to explain to someone else in a way that they could then explain it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. I think you have to live. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And there are so many people speaking on autism who have never spent a day around an autistic person.
You know, the only thing I can think of right now is poser. That's like the word that's just bouncing around in my brain.
Yeah.
And I know I'm showing my age by using that word. But I like, seriously, like, whenever I was coming into it, obviously, you know, I didn't know much, but I was like actively seeking out things. I was actively seeking out people. And not that I'm an expert, not that I'm a medical professional, but in a way, I'm starting to become an expert because of living things. And so I feel there's a significant amount of value in the mom stuff. And what I find really interesting is, I wonder if it's happening in other places, but I know it's happening in Indianapolis, only because I was seeking it out and now I'm like actually seeing it. But the amount of organizations that are springing up from either single moms or parents, families, but are living it,
Yes.
that are now connecting.
Yes.
And we are forming alliances
Yeah.
that are different than the organizations that are supposed to represent us. And they're not asking us to have a seat at the table, which I find really interesting.
So we'll make our own chairs. I mean, that's kind
already
of
have.
well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So to your exact, that's such a good point too, because all of us, and I talk about this often, when you meet an autism mom and they're stressed out and their hair's crazy and they haven't showered in 5 days and you're looking at them like, what's wrong with you?
We're like, I see you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're like, I get it. I'm here too. But we were all different people before we had our kids. And that's true of anyone, for sure.
Yeah.
But there are things that become completely insignificant when you have a child with special needs. And I think they should. I think you realize what does hold more significance. Point being, a lot of us were professionals in that life. A lot of us are very intelligent. A lot of us are well educated. Somehow that gets lost because all of a sudden we look crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're like, no, none of that changed. We just shifted our focus to what we find important. So we're going to start the organizations and we're going to do the things that are going to help support our children. But we want to fight this fight for all these children. And so we come together and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, because, you know, I'll speak for myself, right? I don't want to speak for everybody. But I think a lot of the things that kind of like started my advocacy, like this stuff didn't happen overnight, you know, just spiraled in a good way. It seems to be a positive way.
Oh, yeah.
But it was problem solving. I was identifying a problem.
Right.
I was finding a
Right.
solution. I was reaching out to people. Like if I didn't have a knowledge base, I was actively seeking out information. And along the way, other people came across my path and other autism moms would be like, hey, do you know so-and-so? You should speak to so-and-so. Like that's how the majority of the guests come on this podcast is they're like, hey, have you spoken to so-and-so? And I'm like, absolutely not. They're like, let me patch you in.
Yeah.
That's how we got connected.
Exactly. And great point. Yet again, you
You have very valid points too.
oh, thanks. Thank you. Thanks for that. See, and now I've forgotten what I was saying again. I do this a lot and it's the worst.
It's mom brain, man.
I know. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You're problem solving. So if I think of that we don't know what else to do because whatever we were doing, when I think about how I come at any situation, I'm coming at it to solve a problem. And that was true when I was in college. That was true when I was a professional. And it's true now with my children. And it just so happens when you follow those same paths that have served us, right? Have served us through all those other instances that we find ourselves here with the problem solving. We find ourselves with these parents that are creating these organizations. And back to your point, none of the bigger organizations are tagging any of us in.
What I think is really exceptional about these moms, you included, like we all have a different knowledge base.
Yeah.
But we're all taking from our skill set from a previous life.
Yes.
And finding ways to manipulate that in a positive way
Yes.
to serve the autism community.
100%. I've had this thought so many times, and I know you were a flight attendant, which I would love to talk more about too. But being in the veterinary community, and I said this in so many words the last time we spoke, but I'm so used to picking up nonverbal cues from living beings because that's what you do in the veterinary world with dogs and cats.
Which was extremely helpful with your non-speaking child.
Extremely helpful.
Yeah.
My non-speaking child, the other ones I encounter at the gym. Yeah, it's been huge. I also find that I'm maybe overly perceptive to some people that I wish I wasn't. But
Still a skill set.
yeah, exactly. Nonetheless. So that was one. And yeah, and I know you being a flight attendant, what a fantastic past life, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because a lot of people don't know a lot about the flight attendant life. And I would say a big portion of it is, problem solving, people skills,
Sure.
being able to identify a problem in advance. Like all of that I brought into all these other things that I'm doing.
Yes.
And was extremely valuable with my children.
Right.
Because I knew at least, obviously, I went through that whole time of like, what did I do to my kids? Blah, blah, blah. Like self-loathing and grief.
Oh my gosh,
whatever.
yes. Oh, yes.
But I think that was more so like imposed by society
Yeah.
or the expectations of society or a family or whatever.
Well, because it feels less than perfect,
Yeah.
even though nothing's perfect,
Yeah.
and that's totally fine. At least that's how I think I feel about it. Is that
Yeah. But I think, a large portion, and people don't say this, which I try and be a mentor this way. I wish I had moms that said things to me before the suffering part.
yes?
So I try to do that now.
Yep. Agreed.
Where it's like, right, don't shame yourself. Like, if you need to have your little pity party, that's all right. We all went through
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But at least now, like, there are people in your community that you can reach out to. And I really try and be that person.
Yes.
Like, I really hope if someone ever crossed my path and they had a problem, they would ask me.
Yep.
Like, I don't want people out there suffering because it's awful and it sucks and it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. Thank you. That's when I think. I mean, it is awful and it sucks, and that's probably paramount. But
Yeah, but if you can just like speed through that part and know, hey, you know what? Like, I don't have it together. I know things aren't perfect, but at least I know there are people out in the community. Like, if I'm brave enough or when I'm brave enough, I can reach out
Yep.
to them because, they're kind of like a mini expert.
yeah.
They're
Oh, yeah.
farther along than me anyway.
Well, and this this also lends itself to, we live in a world where slowly over years, we haven't talked about this either, but it's a thought that comes to mind. Mm-hmm. Over years, experience has become less valued than a degree or a title. Mm-hmm. And as somebody who worked in an industry where we were kind of towing that line when I left that industry, mm-hmm. I just disagree wholeheartedly. Not to say I don't value education. I have a college degree.
Sure.
I value education very much. I think it is equally as important to have an experience, to truly be a part and be impactful with something. Tie that all in to the autism mom conversation. Mm-hmm. There's not a degree in being an autism mom, but the lived experience is intense enough mm-hmm. that you become an expert.
Yeah.
And that's not, the world can't possibly see it that way because, yet again, they want to see, on your resume, all the schools you went to. They don't want to know how many places you worked. Mm-hmm. To an extent they do, but you get you know where I'm going with that.
We're starting to see a little bit of this. And maybe, how sometimes it's like when you start to do a thing, then it comes into your sphere.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It could be that. Like, I'm kind of entering into that phase of like self-advocacy and,
yes.
Wider advocacy through the things that I'm doing that now I'm like putting that out in the universe.
Yeah.
So maybe it's drawing to me. I don't know. But I'm starting to see more women doing more things.
Yep.
And what I will say is this. I just have no patience for guys in general that are spreading misinformation. Like, unless you're taking the role, like, I don't know. It sounds bad because I'm not trying to make it a sexist thing. I'm not.
No.
Like, there are dads that are like doing my role and I can tell. Like, I can sense that stuff off people.
Yes.
But I guess what I'm saying is my bullshitometer is high. And so when I see someone come on TV that's not a medical professional, doesn't have like extreme studies in autism or whatever, I'm like, I call bullshit. Shut up. I don't want to hear from you.
No.
You're making things more dangerous, not just for my children, but for all the kids. Sit down.
The danger is scary. Well, of course,
Just
danger is
sit
scary.
down.
And to that point too, if you okay, somebody's on TV. They're going to tell me something important about medicine or about my child. Are you a medical professional? Okay, no. Are you a parent of an autistic child or a special needs child? Oh, no? I no longer want to hear, like, to me, that's a second. I'll listen to you. I want to listen to what a parent has to say. I don't want to listen to a politician interpret what they believe to be important.
And I will tell you this, I am actively seeking out anybody that wants to have these conversations that has knowledge. If you have a platform, you want to come and have a real conversation, I'm willing to have it. Because I think people need to hear this stuff. Like, they're ravenous for it because we have all these parents now that are like, oh my God, and they don't know what to believe.
Exactly. And when the
They're
world
scared.
is going in the, I run into this thing where I'm like, am I making sense? Am I saying things that are sane? Because when I'm exposed to all these things that go in the face of what I know to be true, like what I absolutely know in my core to be true, I'm like, wait, am I crazy? So we all need to be talking.
Well, and you can see that, like, whenever they came out with this nonsense with the Tylenol stuff, all these autism moms starts putting it out there. I was one of them. That's like, I didn't take Tylenol. I didn't take Tylenol with any of my pregnancies. But I'm also not shaming women that did.
No, my goodness.
Because your baby can die if you have a fever.
Yep. Right.
So at that point,
Neural
like,
tube deficiencies.
Does it matter if they had autism or not if you, like, because some politician is telling you that's the worst thing that can happen, they're not going to be the ones sitting holding your hand when you have a dead baby that you really wanted. I mean, obviously that's different conversation too.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, like, for people that are supposedly like all for the kids, right?
Yeah.
On either side, I don't care. Like, I'm really, like, trying to be as bipartisan as I can be. Like, whatever party, if you're for the kids, you have to know that a healthy baby comes from a healthy mother.
Right.
Period.
And I keep saying and to all you. Yes, and.
Yes, and.
The moms, I'm jumbling all my thoughts. Say what you just said again.
About that you have to have a healthy mom to have a healthy baby.
No.
It's okay. It'll come to you.
Yeah, it'll come back to me. Sorry.
That's fine.
I have another thought, however.
Go on. We have lots of thoughts.
I want to, because there are people that are going to listen and they might say, what do you mean there's not data? What do you mean there aren't scientific studies? These were studies done by Harvard. Mm-hmm. Do you not value Harvard? And of course I do. Mm-hmm. I very much value Harvard. So you know what I did? After I heard what I heard, mm-hmm. I went and read the study.
Yeah. And what did you find?
That Harvard very specifically says there's correlation, there's not causation. Mm-hmm. And I know we're saying that and it sounds like one of those terms right now, but it's just the truth. And the fact that there are people in this country that have enough power to take just this much information mm-hmm. and spin it however they want in the face of the scientific study mm-hmm. is terrifying.
Well, the fact that I don't know how much information you can get. I actively seek out information from other countries because I have friends in other countries. And so when something like this comes across my plate, that's what I do. I call my friends in the UK and France and Germany or whatever. I'm like, hey, do you guys have a study about this? What does that look like? What are you seeing on television? Every single one of them was like, it's BS.
Yeah.
Like, this is what our medical professiononals are saying. And they're sending me articles about it.
I now remember what I was going to say a few minutes ago, but yes. And I don't think there's any parent that actually wants any of this to be happening. I know that I don't. So it's not even a party issue kind of at that point. We're just like, stop telling straight up fibs here.
Stop it.
And I think there's also another side of that that's scary, that goes all the way. Again, I hate to make it political, but I'm painting
Everything
a picture. I know, political. And I don't want it to be, but I think our generation is one that truly doesn't have. extremism on either side is very dangerous.
Yes.
And when the Tylenol thing happened, I also saw people on the very, very left side sharing things that they also had no business to share because they don't know.
Right.
And that's scary to me too. And it also jeopardizes credibility for what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's really just my point, is that either side can be scary. And for some reason, I think our generation can really value both sides. That's where I'm going with that. I think if you're on the left, or if you're, let's say you're in your 20s, and you are, maybe you don't call yourself a Democrat, maybe you don't call yourself liberal, but you identify more with what that party stands for. Fine, great. What that shouldn't mean is that you see a post by somebody who you know also shares that view and you share it. Because you have to be firm in your own beliefs before you make it about a party. And I think, and maybe it's not an age thing, maybe it's truly not, but I feel like I see it in the 20-ish age where they're out of college, they've learned enough, but they want to save the world, right?
Yeah.
And we all wanted to save the world. I think we still kind of want to save the world. But they are jeopardizing their own credibility by not being true to themselves or fact checking what they're sharing.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a move right now, and I also am kind of like this, right? I do my best to fact check. There are some people that I assume have done a good job of fact checking because maybe I've seen a couple of their posts.
That's fair.
And I'm like, right, they seem pretty consistent. They seem to have done their homework. Most of the posts that they put out, they seem to have, they're listing resources.
Yep.
So a lot of my posts, not all, but I try and do my due diligence too, where if I'm going to say something or quote something, I give the reference so that people can then go and read the article.
Yes.
I think that's important.
Hugely
But
important.
what I was going to say was, I think for our generation, something we can give to the younger generation that maybe they have not gotten is critical thinking,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And being able to, like, making ourselves available to have conversations.
Yeah.
Like, just going back to, like, the grassroots of, like, community building. Because these kids, we're forgetting these kids. And we need to make them civic-minded, where we're like, right, here's a stack of books that we think are important.
Yes.
That are, nonpartisan, that are, like, good, substantive pieces of literature
Yes.
that you should potentially read and you might gather some information from so that you can make your own decision.
100%. Yes. I often talk about how I'm very grateful for the way I was raised, in the way that I had a very, I consider my mom and my grandmother, who has since passed away, equally maternal in my upbringing. Let's put it that way. I mean, my mom is my mom and that's what it is. But I spent a lot of time with my grandmother and she's from a different generation, obviously. All of that to say, I now know very much where she stood politically, but growing up, I never felt like anyone had an agenda with me. It was informative. It was educate yourself. Same with religion, honestly, is how I was raised. You educate yourself and make the decision that you feel is right.
Yeah.
It seems simple.
I was kind of raised that way too. Like I often talk about my grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
I think something that maybe like our parents' generation can learn from their parents, which, there's lots of things at play. But I feel like my grandparent, at least on the one side, they were very active and or at least from my memory, trying to encourage thought, critical thinking.
Yes. Oh, yes.
They were like, question everything. If something seems wrong in your gut, that's an inclination that something's off.
Absolutely.
Like, don't just take things and run with it. Just all that sort of stuff that
Yes.
I feel like I got more from my grandparents' generation than I did from my parents' generation.
That is such yet another wonderful point. I don't know if this is helpful for listeners, but I'm gaining a lot from this conversation.
Well, you know, my grandpa is also passed, but huge fan of that guy. And, you know, I always say I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
And so the best thing that I can do now for, say, like my nieces and nephews, which, you know, they probably don't think I'm cool. And that's all right. But at least they know I always encourage curiosity.
Yes.
I don't know if they'll ever come to me, but they have to know I'm one of those people. Like, I'm sure they like peruse my posts every once in a while. I'm sure they do.
And
If they're ever curious, I want them to ask. I don't know if they ever will, but I'm actively putting myself out there in the community to like stand for something.
Yeah.
That hopefully these kids, I don't necessarily want to influence them to think what I think. I just want to encourage curiosity. I want to encourage thought. Like if you feel a certain way, say something, do something, read
Yes.
a book. Like encourage that civic mindedness to attach yourself to something of value.
make your curiosity your responsibility.
That's great.
I just came up with that.
It's fabulous.
But that's what I think, that's what you're saying, and I think that's so important. And I think that we keep talking about our generation, and
No, but it's important because
Yeah.
I think our generation, you know, we do need to step up. Like a lot of these female organizations where I'm from, the ladies really need to retire.
Yeah.
Not because they've asked. Like I think, well, no, I've been told. Like they're just holding on because they're waiting for someone to take it over.
Yeah.
And they don't want it to die out.
Yeah.
So like the Tri-Kappas, all that stuff. Like some people are stepping up, but you know, like our generations are not stepping up en masse, even for little things like, you know, Little League and, you know, the soccer leagues and
Yeah.
stuff. That like a lot of this stuff, the only reason that anybody started it and that it continued, it was free. Like it was an effort to aid the youth in your community. Like we don't do, sorry, I don't mean to
No,
cut you off,
no,
but
no, no,
like
no.
our generation, I think, and maybe even our, you know, parents' generation
Yeah.
to some degree, a lot of things, a lot of conversations are all about money still. And this is a real learning thing. Like a lot of my nonprofits and stuff like that, it's not like when I was 12, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a nonprofit one day.
Yeah.
No, that never occurred to me. At that stage, I was like, right, what can I do to make money? Or like, you know, what kind of career will I have?
And that was encouraged big time.
yeah, it's like, how can I be part of the GDP?
Yep.
I wouldn't have thought in a million years I would have a nonprofit or I'd be doing a podcast. Never.
Never.
But we, now that we're doing these things, we need to teach the younger generations like, hey, you're curious? You want to see how this works?
Yes.
I'll teach you for free. So hopefully 10 years, 20 years from now, you'll be doing this too.
Absolutely. We have to invest. It's an investment. It's an investment into our children. It's an investment into their children. It's an investment in the planet, if you want to go that direction, because
Yeah.
don't get me started on how we're just
I
burning this place down. But it's an investment in ourselves too. And I don't know if every generation feels this way, but I truly feel like we are very unique on a lot of fronts. And I think there are things I can learn from the younger generation that I can take back to my parents. And I think there are things I can learn from my parents that are valuable to the other generation. And that's our responsibility. I think bridging that gap
We're
is
segue.
huge. We are. And maybe that's true of all generations, but to me, the gap feels real, real big this time.
Yeah.
So we have to invoke curiosity and hope that they will find, that they'll take the right avenues to find stuff out, I guess, to figure out who they are.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I don't know if a lot of people share this opinion. You know, it just kind of hit me. It's like I said, it's not like I just came up with this stuff and I'm like, oh, hey, I had this brilliant idea. Like it evolved.
Right.
And through this advocacy and activism and all that, I'm like, right, how can I be most helpful? What can I do? How can I serve? And then I saw the necessity in it because I started doing it. And then it's like riding a bike.
Yep.
It's like, you know, that well-oiled machine of how can you do good? How can you do better? How can you lead?
Servant leadership.
Yeah.
And it seems servant leadership is so important in all facets of life, but it however you want to say it, it could be karma, it could be whatever, however you'd perceive it. But servant leadership will improve your life and your well-being and your cause every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Way better than the alternative. And so you should always be thinking, how can I make this better? Not just for me. How can I make it better for everybody?
Yeah.
How can I leverage people in my life so they feel like the best version of themselves, so that I am then surrounded by people who are the best versions of themselves? That's everybody's responsibility.
I think so too.
A lot of people just plain old don't think so. And this could be me getting old. I feel like I see it less and less, and I don't know that it can be taught. I could be wrong.
Well, I think a lot of it for me is I have this real drive as a single mother. Like, especially with the things that are going on in the world right now. All I can think about are my kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if something happens to me, and it's just expanded, right? Like maybe it started small where I'm like, right, okay, like who's going to take over if I croak?
Yeah.
Who's going to take care of these little kids? So then it started in little ways where I'm like, right, I need to make sure and get their IEPs ready. I need to make sure I have all this paperwork lined up. So whoever takes over, I can pass them the paperwork so they're like that much more prepared. And then it expanded, and I'm like, right, if I'm doing this for my kids, maybe how can I give back in some other way?
Right.
And then it expanded even further where I'm like, right, we need a whole new generation of people to follow us.
Yep.
To do this stuff that we're doing,
Yes.
because our kids won't be that age yet. So by default, we have to invest in the generations
Yep.
below us that are still older than our children, because when we're gone, which, we don't know what our expiration date will
Nope.
be, who's going to carry the torch?
Right.
And that's where I think we're missing the buck, especially as a country, because it's like you have all these kids, I'm not saying it's their parents' fault necessarily. Like there's a lot of factors there.
I would agree with that, and I see it differently. I see different actions, reactions, what have you, from different children that were raised by the same set of parents for the same length of time. So I do think there are a million contributing factors.
Yeah.
I don't think taking Tylenol was one, but sorry.
No, I think that's important, and it's good to have a sense of humor, because some of this stuff, like, I can't tell you the amount of times, like, I can't sleep. I don't sleep well. This stuff's really bothering me because it's my kids, and they're my friends' kids, and, the kids at the school. And I'm like, this stuff's messed up. Well, there's so much. And that's why I asked you to come on, because whenever this Tylenol conversation came up, this is how my brain works now. And I think it's actually a good thing, because at the beginning, I didn't have people I could call.
It's true.
But now that I'm involved, and now we have this, entourage of moms.
Yeah, there you go. Entourage is a good word.
That, like, I would consider most of us friends. Like, I can
Yeah,
text
oh,
these
yeah.
people, and something comes up that I think's a little wonky, and I'm like, hey, I'll text someone. And we text each other at all hours. And, maybe we might get a message at like 11, and we'll normally respond unless we're sleeping, or if we wake up, then
Yep.
we'll respond. Someone gets it in the morning. But it's just nice to have this network of, we're not alone.
We're not alone.
We have a cumulative thought process on, like, hey, we have an investment
Yep.
in our children. Our children have a similar disability.
Yep.
This is valuable to all of us.
Yep.
We want to fix it. We want to educate people.
Yeah.
Like, we're living it always.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we will always make time, which is also just a whole other thing of, we don't have time. This is time we're making. Every one of us moms has something different we could be doing.
Yeah.
That would be hugely valuable. We're making time because it's important, and that's for each other, but that's for this kind of stuff too, to get information out there.
Yeah, but it's valuable to the generations that are coming.
Yep.
Because, this is my opinion, not a medical professional, but autism is not something that's going to go away unless we get to the eugenics conversation, and then they're exterminating it.
And how ignorant
Yes.
to not look at the fact that if you light these brains up on a CT scan or an MRI, they're using parts of our brains that, well, I can't speak to you, neurodivergent, but
I don't know. I've not had a brain scan, but
Well,
it'd be interesting to see my
yeah.
brain on a scan.
I would be terrified to see mine. I think all of that to say,
Probably like popcorn.
that's probably, yeah, you're probably right. All of that to say, why are we so ignorant to think that neurodivergence is something that is going to impact the longevity of society negatively? Because it's not. I don't believe.
I don't think so either.
And I think anybody who, I think it's a way to try to quiet it because people don't understand it. But we didn't understand a lot of things, but eradicating things we don't understand has never served us. Mm-hmm. So I think it's ignorant, arrogant, and, well, maybe those are the two best words to encompass it, to think that there is not something fantastic coming on the other side of neurodivergent people.
I think just people have a problem with labels. That's part of it. Sometimes, even with the festival, whenever I used the word neurodivergent, people were like, what's that? And I was like, oh, explaining it. And because I didn't just want it to be about autism, I wanted to be more inclusive. And I didn't want people to feel left out. Same with like trans, things like that. Like there are things that have been around since the dawn of time that every group had a different name for. And some groups found socially acceptable. Some groups elevated. And some groups saw extra value in that other groups did not. And normally, it always becomes an agenda. Like, what is the agenda behind exterminating this group of people?
Oh, we just don't have time. I have so many thoughts right now. It's an agenda. It's also you're scared because you don't understand. But we don't have time to get into the overlap of neurodivergence and the LGBTQ plus community, because to me, there's something there. There's a reason that these brains are working differently. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't we want to learn more about that? Well, I know why, because it's so much easier to control everyone if we're all thinking the same.
Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to. It's just like, right, there are powers that be, like, how can we keep people at the most simple form and the most controllable form possible? And that's basically the root of it. It's
100%.
It's a challenge.
Think of it like a classroom. Mm-hmm. If you're a teacher, and you have levels 1 through 5, well, your classroom is going to be easiest at 3. So if the 1s could get to 3s, great. 5s also need you here to 3. Mm-hmm. It's easier for the teacher because now you have 1 to 30 as opposed to 1 to 10. That's how I think of it on this grand scale.
Nobody wants those kids.
Right.
Nobody wants it. And I was one of those students, so that's how I know.
Same. And that's why I think of it like this. Because I was the 5.
Yeah.
No Child Left Behind. You remember when all that went down? And I was like,
why?
Well, no, actually what you mean is like every child that it makes more than C's regularly left behind.
Yeah.
It wasn't No Child Left Behind. It was, So.
No, I say why on purpose because I think we were the why kids. Why is that?
Yes.
Question everything.
Yes.
And they're like, look, I don't have time for that. Like, I'm teaching this. I don't have time for the extra questions because I'm only one person.
Yep.
Which I get. We were like extra credit kids.
100%.
Yeah.
And you get, my mom often talks about her friend in Holland who, I'm going to mix up some of these facts. So point is, a couple, one being a teacher, one being a doctor, they make the same amount of money. Mm-hmm. So, no wonder we can't, now it's a staffing issue. So now because we don't pay the educators enough to educate our children, we have way too many children per educator. So we need them all learning the same thing or else nobody learns anything. See, this is why it just could keep going and going and going. Because to me, a teacher should be the highest valued.
But now we're talking about the Finnish system.
Well, you're right.
And, I'm down for it. And, a lot of people that say, our education system is horrible. I don't necessarily disagree. What I know is, because I seek out knowledge, and some people don't, I know we can do better because there are examples around the world that they do better.
Right.
We just don't want to invest the money in doing better. And that is, I don't want to say I think of it as a problem.
I think it's a problem.
But not everyone sees it as a problem. But I see it as, like you said, investing in community, investing in our children, which will, pan out in the future. But we have a different idea of what we think we should invest in.
That's true.
Versus some other people. Because, for example, the millionaires, the billionaires, or whatever, it's easier to control people with less education.
100%.
So they obviously don't want, at any level, any kid to get as much valuable education as possible.
Right.
Because they don't believe in that system, because then that challenges their thought process. They want to keep more money. The more educated your populace is, the less they can do that.
I have so much trouble wrapping my head around that being a positive in any light, or anyone truly being able to say that.
We're not having these conversations because what happens is, I think our generation, I'll speak for myself. I was definitely told, when you get a good job, if you get good benefits, stick it out. It doesn't matter what your supervisor's doing or whatever. Like, now you have a good job, you have to take care of your kids, you have to get good health care, blah, blah, blah. Now, where they miss the larger part of that conversation, which our European friends have, which frees them up, which, I went to school in France. This is why I'm a little different. You can see the value in things like universal health care, where it's like, right, if nobody has to worry about health care, and the younger ones probably aren't going to have a lot of health issues because, they just don't.
Yeah.
And then that frees them up to have creative thought, which is actually going to produce, more businesses into the economy. But the people at the top, they don't want that. They don't want the curiosity. They want people stuck in the grind, slaves to the system.
Yep.
Slaves to, like, the education system, the insurance system, whatever, so that they keep your paychecks drained. They keep you exhausted. Mm-hmm. They keep your thought process low. So you don't have the extra ideas to develop businesses, because that's only for them. They want to have that space.
Yes.
They want to have the multi-generational wealth that their kids don't have to work, so their kids can have ideas. But you and I, our kids, we need to stay down here.
Right. That's so true. And I think something we were talking about earlier, you can be on the right side of right for as long as you can in a professional setting, and you can climb the corporate ladder and do all the things. You're going to reach a point where you have to decide what's more important. And that's such a loaded thought process, because I'm distracted.
You're fine.
What did I say before that? You have to just keep reminding me what I'm
We're just
saying.
talking about the education system and how basically, the rich want to keep the rest of us poor and stupid so that, they can do all their things and, we get the leftovers.
Yes.
Like the feudal system.
And I think it's an investment, and this is actually not where I was going with this, but I will say hi Sissy, it's an investment. And America, what do we love more than anything? Instant gratification. Whereas we all know, maybe we don't all know really, but if you look into it, when you look at like dopamine receptors, when you get really down into it, it's the long game that provides the most benefit. So the investment into the future, the investment into these things, that is not perceived as important, because it's not going to happen instantly. It's going to take years. It's going to take generations. It's going to take money. It's going to take a lot of hard work. And the millionaires and billionaires would rather focus that elsewhere. Instant gratification. And now they can jump on and say, look what I did today. Because they care about what they did today, not what our kids are going to do in 30 years.
Well, that's where, like, the fall of the unions, as an example. I remember hearing from my family, like, oh, you don't want to be in a union. Nah, like, it's bad. But it's because other people were told. And so then the politicians, on various sides, if it served their purpose, if it served their contributors or whatever, oh, no, unions are bad. Well, unions are only bad because they take care of their people. I'm not saying they're perfect. But in theory, from the start of unions, the whole principle behind forming unions
Yeah.
was because workers that were in deplorable conditions decided they wanted a little bit better of a life. Where, you know, like you had the coal miners. Like, that's a whole other subject too.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting that, like, the rednecks that recognize themselves as rednecks, they don't even know the history behind rednecks in coal country and how that came about with unions. Because it's interesting how all these things get lost in
Yeah.
American society or manipulated so that it loses their original meaning. And
Absolutely.
it's always to benefit the corporations.
Always to benefit the corporations. And these by the time it all ends up being about money. So
Every time.
everything that spawns the internet is like just a glaring example to me. Social media, everything these are inventors, these are unique thinkers. They come up with an idea, they put it together. These are brilliant minds. Inevitably, someone's going to capitalize it, someone's going to monetize it, and then it's going to all go to shit.
You know, what I find really fascinating, like this is happening in Indiana right now, you know, with like the mega computers and AI and all this
Oh, yeah.
stuff. Now, I know better because I seek out information. So I can see the clear connection. And Indiana has a lot of poor people. Indiana has a lot of farm ground. You're not going to build these mega computers in downtown Indianapolis the same way as
No.
you're not going to put all of the solar panels on top of the buildings. Why? Because they think we're stupid. It's cheaper. It's flatter. So they're not concerned 50, 100 years from now how we're going to feed ourselves because they're going to be good. Because they're going to jump on a plane and go to wherever else they need to. So the underlings around here, whether they poison our water, make us, you know, food insecure, what have you, they're not concerned.
No.
They're not going to do it in Indianapolis or Evansville or Fort Wayne or whatever. They're going to go out to these very rural communities and they're going to have talks with the local leaders. They're going to do some quick deal behind the residents' back. And before they know it,
Yep.
boom, they've got 100 acres of solar panels. Now, I'm not saying I'm against solar panels. I just find it interesting. You'll never see that crap in Indianapolis on any of the buildings. And why? Why wouldn't you? Because they don't want to ruin their view. But they want to take that energy, and they're willing to sacrifice people for it.
Absolutely. And okay, for one, I truly did not think at the age of 37, I would find myself in a position where I am fearful of the goals of the people running the country. Here we are.
Not just the country, the state.
The state, yes, absolutely, 100%. But where I feel like way back whenever there was a healthy balance-ish of, and you know, it ebbs and flows, healthy balance of the people that want to look good today and the people that want their grandchildren to have a happy, healthy, safe place to live.
Well, that's the trick right there.
But there's not a balance anymore.
Well, I have an opinion. I have lots of opinions.
That's why we're here, right?
Yeah. See, I'm very much of like the indigenous thought of like, think 7 generations in advance.
Yes.
No one's good if we don't have clean water. We have examples of that, like, you know, they released the dams in California. They, you know, gave back a significant amount of land to, I think it's the Yurok tribe. They've seen, you know, improvement in like water quality, like native salmon populations. They also put the indigenous communities on their reservations in like very, very rural areas with not a lot of access to things.
Oh, yeah.
Where-
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's lots of little things like that we do.
Well, they're little because they don't glorify them. They don't talk about them. And then we see this. I interrupted you. But
No, you're good. Go ahead.
We see the end. We see it all crumble at the end. And then, hindsight. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. And I think it's just interesting. It's interesting that, well, I'll say this. I know what I'm doing is dangerous, and I know the things that I'm saying is dangerous, and I'm saying it anyway because it's important, because someone needs to. I'm not saying I'm the only one.
No.
But I recognize it. So you have people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, right, that are foreigners that come in here, and then they've taken government subsidies and all that stuff to build up their wealth. I find it really interesting that two people like that, maybe they are now American, right? But they don't have the same roots that the rest of us do. Like, they don't have the attachment to the land. Like I've told you before, like my family's been here since it was Indian territory.
Yep.
I'm deeply invested because I care, because I know people in these communities, because I'm from a farming community. I'm watching, these solar panels go up. I'm actively researching what's happening to rural communities because I care, because I want my kids to have somewhere to go back to. I want them to be able to kayak and canoe in the rivers. Like, I don't want the fish to just be like belly up. Like, the type of things that they're doing, the information is out there.
Yeah.
And I just find it so interesting that even these local politicians are just bending a knee and go belly up. And I also find it fascinating that we've got a lot of politicians that are coming from out of state.
Yeah, that is interesting for
There's
sure.
a lot. That it's just fascinating to me that, like, you get to talking to some of these people and you're like, oh, like, how did you end up here? And they tell you some kind of fluff story. Oh, well, we chose to live here. Okay, great. Like, most Hoosiers are accepting it. Like,
Absolutely.
welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. But these same people that don't have the deep connections that we have to the land, to the people, or whatever, they're the ones screwing us over. So, like, what deep connection do they have to Indiana, to Hoosiers? Like, and I mentioned to you about the in-house community. Like, that's something that is particularly egregious to me and pisses me off.
I would agree.
Because the in-house community is exploding. And I had a guy, not to cut you off.
No.
But, like, man, I could not get this off of my mind the other day. I always have, like, a bottle of water or sandwich, something like that, because I'm seeing so many in-house people. And there was this guy the other day in the median, and he was, like, shaking, kind of bent over and shaking. I don't know if it was because, maybe he was coming down from something. Maybe he was very dehydrated. I don't know what
The point is, you don't know.
I don't know. But all I had was like a couple bags of chips. So I offered it to him. I was like, hey, would you like this? And I normally do, like, if I have anything in my car, I'm not one of those people that can just drive by. I'm just not. Because I feel like I said, like with all of our kids, like they're all my neighbors. I'm very, in a way, kind of like Quaker like that. I'm just like, everybody's my neighbor. Why wouldn't you want to help these people?
Maybe it is Quaker, because I just agree with you so much.
I mean, I wasn't a Quaker, but I know that's like a
I'm
Quaker
saying
sort of mentality.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah. So I asked the guy, and I'm like, oh, sir, I have this. Would you like that? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't eat that. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. That's all I have. And, like, mid-bend, he looks up and looks me in the eyes. And he said, ma'am, just pray for me. And I fought tears the whole day. Like, my kids were in the back of the car. We were going somewhere else. And I was choking down the tears. And I was like, you MFers that you want to talk about, oh, Indiana should be shipbuilding or whatever. You're so detached. You're freaking clueless. Like, go on any street in Indianapolis. Like, you have an obligation to serve all of us. These people are Hoosiers too.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes you uncomfortable? Does that make you uncomfortable? You better get your out there on the street.
Yeah.
Because don't send me BS in my email box, Like, I subscribe to a lot of the politicians because I'm curious. I want to hear what they have to say. But I can also tell how detached they are from humanity. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Humanity. That's what I keep thinking as you're talking.
It pisses me off.
Humanity. The human being that you stopped to help is a person and a human being. Not a statistic, not, filth of some kind, not a tragedy, not all these things. It was a person.
Yeah. And something clearly happened.
Right.
To land them there. It doesn't necessarily mean that they did something wrong.
Well, you don't help people conditionally, right?
Right.
And would that be true of anybody? Because I might loan $20 to, I don't even have a great example for this, I guess, but it's not about being homeless or what have you. It's about, don't make it if you want to help somebody, help somebody. Mm-hmm. As soon as you start putting stipulations on it, you're not helping people anymore.
Well, just, I think, and throughout history it's proven, you don't have a healthy society if you're not helping the least of those. So when you start to see more unhoused, and it's not just men, it's single moms with kids. And I tell you, I learned something the other day. I don't know if I said this on the other podcast, but I'm going to say it here. Do you know, like, they're moving a lot of these unhoused communities? Some of these places that these people are going to seek, refuge. Apparently, they're having to do things to make money to get access to some of these places to stay.
Like what?
Like,
Oh.
yeah. And I was pissed. I was like, what? Like, and obviously, I'm no dummy. I know there's all kinds of like unsultry things that go on, but I'm just saying, I think we can do better.
I agree.
And I think there are people out there that are like in the trenches working with these people, like actively trying to help. And I get really annoyed. Like I said, I'm not saying things are perfect. I don't have like a Pollyanna view of everything. I'm saying acknowledge the plight of people, because when you're drawing people, I have a thing. I'm going to thump my drum. When you have people moving from out of state into Indiana, especially into Indianapolis, and I'm seeing all these houses go up, and then I'm seeing the unhoused population go up.
Yeah.
I'm like, we can have a better balance. I'm not saying we can cure it overnight,
No.
but I'm saying the health of our society in Indiana, it shows. The lack of is showing.
Yes.
And I find it disgusting.
I agree. And I sort of think part of the American dream, part of the Beaver Cleaver stuff was really largely based on appearance. So take that into consideration with what you're talking about. And also you can lump autism moms into that too.
Yep.
Appearance has actually little to nothing to do with it. And the man you encountered on the street, he might have 20 drug charges, but the guy wearing the suit in the big building, I'm sorry, but the more we learn, who are the people that are really...
Who are the scary people?
Who are the scary people? Who are the monsters?
Well, so I don't know if you heard about that judge in South Carolina.
Mm-mm.
Oh, God. That's just going to make your blood boil.
Oh, no.
This judge, she was like overseeing one of those murderers that shot up a bunch of people in one of the churches down there a few years back. Come to find out, he's one of those SA guys with a bunch of kids doing really horrible stuff. And I'm like, once again, Republican, white, male, the most dangerous men in our people, most dangerous people in our society tend to be, statistically, straight white men. So, I don't think we should ignore this. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I'm saying I get extremely pissed off when they're passing the buck and they're treating me like I'm stupid. When it's like, oh, look at the trans people. Oh, these trans people. Statistically, that is not where our danger lies.
No.
Statistically, like with SA or, physical, mental abuse, whatever.
Even like financial abuse. Even, I mean, there's a laundry list of things. And honestly, I hate it all to be true. I hate it so much.
It's awful.
I don't want it to be true. I want to believe that the nice, businessmen I met are truly just nice businessmen. But now, based on nothing but facts and statistics, I see somebody up here who's a white businessman and I'm immediately going, what's with you?
Yeah.
I don't want to be that way.
It's a power thing. And, no, I don't want to be that way either. And the reason I'm calling it out is because of facts, right? We cannot fix this stuff if we're not honest. Same with everybody, not everybody, but there are those that feel a certain way about immigrants, right? They don't really want to necessarily have the conversation, or maybe they do and they feel equally the same as, with the indigenous people. I just find it interesting, the type of conversations and the substance versus, the value and the facts. And I'm like, it's fascinating to me how people, some of this information is disappearing on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm saying some of it's still out there. And the fact that people are so lazy that they don't want to even seek it out, that is part of the problem.
No, because they want it to be pretty. They want it all to be pretty.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, part of this podcast is having real conversations.
Yeah.
And I just can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore.
No.
Like, I want to have valuable conversations that contribute to the community. And, I would be doing my viewers a disservice if I'm only, like, we are obviously talking about autism. But autism is just one level of our society, and everything feeds into it.
And by the way, none of us put the word autism in politicians' mouths. They did that all on their own. I've thought about that a lot. This is such an odd
very fair
population for them to, I don't want to say target necessarily, but to put in the limelight.
Well, if you're talking about minorities, right?
Yeah.
So, based upon what we've seen, we've had the trans community, we've had the indigenous community.
Oh, wow.
We've had the autism community. Now we have females. We've had female children. There has been some conversation about, like, younger boys, but it's not the same conversation.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that.
Yeah. So that's kind of how my brain works, is I'm like, as far as facts go, I'm like, right, what have I seen? What is the agenda? What is it building up to? And all those things don't seem good. Same with, like, we don't really want to have a conversation about, and mind you, this is also controversial. Like, I came from a place where a lot of people use guns.
Right.
I can see the necessity. My family was here, like, from the Revolutionary War. I get all that. I see it. I see the value. But I also see the value in having a conversation about, we could probably do better with figuring out a way with the school shootings.
Absolutely.
Like, at bare minimum, have conversations. Same with, like, right, kids are clearly being put in, like, bad situations, being human trafficked. Like, we can at least have some conversations. This whole, like, sweep it under the rug,
Right.
that is not working for anyone.
No.
Ever.
No. Well, see, and now you've got me thinking about just the fact that you have to do more training and more test taking to drive a car than you do to get a gun. But nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah. Like, there's value in having conversations.
Yeah.
We don't have to agree, right? But there's a line, too, with whenever the conversations become dangerous. Like, you and I aren't sitting here having a conversation where we're trying to be violent or increase violence towards anybody.
Right.
We're trying to increase knowledge and thought.
Knowledge and thought.
Yeah, that's different.
That's what's missing from a lot of these conversations. And I'm thinking to myself, I would love so much to sit down with somebody who has opposite beliefs as me and believe what they're saying. And I think 20 years ago, I would have. I could have found plenty of those people. Excuse me.
Okay.
I don't know where, I don't believe, I'm, in my lived experience, I'm not running across people that I can sit across from and have very, very different, let's just say, political beliefs.
Sure.
And not immediately go, that's just not true. What you're saying is just not true. Because I can talk to you all day, but don't start making stuff up or presenting opinion as fact. I think that...
Well, I think we need to get to a baseline, right?
Yes.
We have to find a baseline.
Yeah.
Which is simple. Things like, do we think kids being molested is okay? Probably not.
No.
I say no. I think, like, there are things like that we could hopefully...
The baseline's getting scarier.
I know. But in theory, and I'm not trying to be, like, funny about this. I'm saying, like, we need to boil it down and find the, like, commonalities between all of us, because before we get to a place of no return, we have to make room for people that disagree with us. But there has to be a line.
Yeah.
There has to be, like, a realistic line, and it has to be a progression. We have to be working towards something. Like,
I think that's
we want
the
things
scary
to be
part.
better.
I think that's the scary part. I think the line to me is getting scarier just when I think, well, no, there's no way that anyone would, think that autism parents are bad, or that's, oh, yep, just kidding. There's a platform for that too. We talked very briefly just about changes in the military with women and that kind of thing. They're just things that are so, to me, so we already got there in history. We already did it.
Yeah.
Why? why in the world would we go back?
Well, I think the why is important.
Yeah.
And I think the why is not what people are asking themselves. And one thing I have a problem with is the manipulation of religion in this country.
I would agree with, yeah.
And that is dangerous. Like, there's always been a separation of church and state for a reason. I think there are those of us that very firmly believe in that. And it's not to take people's religious beliefs away from them. We actually believe in their religious freedom. But we're just saying religious freedom for all, not for some.
Yes.
And that is why you have the separation of church and state. It's important because when you don't, you have places like Iran.
Yeah.
Where in the 70s, like Afghanistan and Iran, women were uncovered. They were dressed like us. And I think that's what makes people like us nervous, because we can seek out that information. We see that information. We see the similarities between it.
Yeah.
Now we have to figure out how to convince other people to look for it. We're not saying believe what we believe. We're just saying there is like substance out there
Yeah.
that would tell people extremism in any form is bad. It generally leads to less liberty for everyone.
Yeah.
And how far do you want to push this? Like, how, like, do you believe that your liberties are better or more than others? And what are you willing to risk for the thought of that? Not, like, it's not guaranteed.
Not
Right now, everything is hypothetical. Like, if your thought process is, yes, like, we should be, an ultra-Christian conservative nation. Okay, fine. Like, let's make that point. I don't agree with you. But have you sat down and thought about what that looks like? If you're willing to sacrifice others or the freedoms of others, can you conceive of that same theory bouncing back at you?
right.
Like, do you think it would ever come back? And if you don't, why? I know I'm like making your head spin.
No, I'm just no. I mean, I think it's if I'm understanding your question, repeat the last thing you said. No, this I remember. I'm just trying to hear the nuance. Okay, I know. So you are not. What are you suggesting to me in this hypothetical situation?
I'm suggesting to you that those people that feel very firmly that we should be an ultra-conservative Christian nation and that is it. How do we have a conversation with these type of people? To just say, have you thought it all the way through? Like, do you believe that your freedoms, your religious freedoms, will be protected when you are willing to risk the protections of others?
Right. Okay. Yes, I was following. I just wasn't totally committed to
Yeah.
following. Or not totally committed. I didn't. Anyway, doesn't matter.
I know what you mean.
Point being, I don't know.
But those are the types of things
I
we
know.
need to figure out.
I know. And
It's like we need to be able to have those type of conversations where we can sit across the table from someone and be like, right, I don't agree with you. We're not on the same page. How do we at least get to a point where we can have the conversation of, you believe this. Do you think the table can be turned on
Right.
you? And if it is, then what?
Right.
Does that change your opinion?
and how much are you willing to compromise to maintain that?
Mm-hmm.
And how is it affecting the humans that are involved? Not the people, not the congregations, the humans that are involved. And how involved do you want to be with that? And then and along those lines too, but to go back to a baseline, like where's your baseline? Where do you call it?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because, like, not even history. I mean, slightly history, but like recent history. We're talking the 1970s. I mean, things started to change a little bit with, I would say our occupation of Afghanistan, because it went nowhere. But, like, we left people behind.
Yeah.
We gave them hope, and then we left them behind
Yeah.
to have their society fall. And, like, that earthquake that they had in Afghanistan recently, I was, like, really disturbed by that, because they wouldn't even rescue these women, because the doctors and the rescuers were men, and they're not allowed to touch the women, so they let them die.
So that's the line. And
So
now
that's going to be our line.
right.
And I think we need to have those type of conversations like, right, what does this ultra Christian nationalism look like for everyone?
Right.
How far does this go? Like, be very realistic with your expectations. I disagree. I disagree on a lot of levels. I think there are examples around the world where we can have factual information like, right, from, the 1970s to now, this is what happened in Iran. From the 1970s to now, this is what happened in Afghanistan. Do you project this to be our future? Something like this for our future?
Yeah.
You okay with that? Does it not concern you, or does it not bother you because they're brown people?
Oh,
Is
yeah,
it that?
right.
Like, I think we need to have those conversations. Like, what is the difference between the hijab and, Christian nationalism? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, but I think if they feel so strongly about it, they need to at least have that conversation with the rest of, like, convince us.
Absolutely.
Convince us
Yes,
why
please.
this is a good thing.
Don't just convince me. I mean, yes, but
Play
convince
it out.
me
Play
with
it out 50 years in advance for me.
Yeah. And can I have some data? Can you show me
Data's good.
from the country, can you show me how this impacted the well-being of society? Can you show me how less people were, unhoused, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And my guess is no, but that's my guess. But I fear along those lines that the people that are going to have those conversations, they don't want to look at facts. They have a different agenda.
Yeah,
Is about as plainly, I guess, as I can say it.
I know. But, that is my little bit of optimism.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of dark still, but I'm like, to at least, I know these people are out there. There are probably more of them than I realize. I probably do business with some of these people. Maybe they have some very extreme views that I don't agree with. I would open it up to have conversation. Like,
But see, that's the thing. I don't
Convince
want
me.
to. And I don't even want, to your point, doing business, with somebody. To me, depending on what the business is, or depending on how much I'm going to be a part of something, I don't even really need to care. I really don't need to care.
no, but I just mean as far as, like, if these are people that come in our orbit, right?
I see, yeah.
That, if there's some sort of friendship or something like
Got
that
it.
there, that, like, if you think you have a different perspective that would be valuable,
Absolutely, yes.
have the conversation,
Yeah. No, and who's willing to have that conversation now that I'm kind of thinking about it in practical terms for my life?
I don't like to be sneak attacked. I think that's what it is. Like, I lead pretty firmly with, like, hey, I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community. Now, I don't necessarily broadcast it right out the gate. I normally give people a little bit of time to get to know me because they can hate me less. And so I do that. So I would give the same benefit to someone else. Like, if I knew someone, had an assessment of them, I'm not going to hate them.
Right.
You now have a platform. You can talk to me about it. But, like, yeah, the whole sneak attack thing, that's what I don't like about the whole Project 2025 and
Oh my
whatever.
gosh.
Like, if you thought it was so good,
Clear expectations, right?
yeah, like, why be sneaky?
Be proud of your work.
Be proud of it. Yes.
Yeah.
But the same with, like, I find this really humorous when, some of the podcasters are saying, like, demon queens. And essentially what it means is, like, there are potentially some politicians that are, like, on the DL that they'll rail against the trans community all day long. And then,
Yeah.
when nighttime falls, then, like, they're on Grindr blowing it up or whatever. And it's like, hey,
Just own it.
we're not hating you for it.
We don't like the lies and the deceit.
The lies and the deceit, not great.
Yeah. Well, and to die,
Like, we
everything.
would probably embrace you more. Maybe your family wouldn't, and I get that. Like, I'm part of the LGBTQ community from a time where we were getting beat up and spit on.
Right.
I know that. Like, I understand the risks of it, but, like, the risks were less a few years ago. And, like, that whole, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, the whole self-hatred of, like, oh, I hate this about myself. It just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
It's just an awful thing. And, if you believe in God, Everybody has a different opinion about those things. All are valid. But if you have that mindset of a God that is forgiving, maybe lean into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think if that's how you are, and you think that God is forgiving God, maybe lean in sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Don't do as much damage in the interim. I think fewer people will hate you if you just come out and say, you know what? I hated this about myself, and I did some bad things, and I know I hurt a lot of people, but I'm going to step out and say it now because I think it's valuable.
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to valuing what you know to be true about yourself.
Yeah.
Because to me, I know that I value honesty and integrity. And I know that if I'm being honest with other people about who I am, then I would prefer people be honest with me about who they are, to the extent that it's comfortable. I'm not saying people should just overshare all the time or what have you. I'm just saying that if you're true, to me, it all goes back to like that core belief. And if the honesty is always going to be perceived better than whatever lie you think looks good to the audience you are pandering toward.
Well, I guess, much like the autism community, like I'm giving people a platform to speak their mind, unfiltered, and I would give you all the same permission. If you've been a closet case, if you've been on the DL, you're probably hurting more people than just coming out as yourself. And I know that's hard, but here's one person that's getting you permission. And it does make it easier to hear from people that like your life won't be over. It will be different. It's going to look different. You are going to hurt some people, especially if you're married or something like that. But you're going to hurt less people in the long run. Like the longer you keep this up, the more people you're going to hurt.
And that can be said about so many things. Yeah. So many things. Yeah. And it's never too late, right? It's never too late to make a decision to say, you know what? I want to live my truth today, or whatever that is.
Or just you were wrong.
Or that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
never too late.
Like, now I know better. And when you know better, you do better. Or maybe I don't know. And I want to know. And maybe you can share something with me. Like, just be brave enough to at least step outside yourself and have the conversation. Be curious. Ask. Ask somebody.
Yes.
Ask an autistic mom. You want to know what it's like to have an autistic child? You don't want to hear from the media or from a politician? Email me.
Yep.
I've got a list of moms that'll talk to you.
Absolutely.
Come to the horse. I'm bringing you to the trough. I've got plenty of autistic moms.
All you have to do is show up.
Yeah. Show up. Let's have a conversation. We will educate you about what this is.
And to that point, on a grander scale, go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Go talk to a human that you don't know. Go talk to a human who has a very different walk of life, or what you perceive to be a different walk of life. Because no matter what you take from it, maybe you hate the person, I don't know. Yeah. No matter what you take from it, you're going to realize that you and your group, your orbit, is not the only thing in the world. And we have to understand that.
Yeah. Go give somebody a hug.
Not me. I don't love hugs.
Yeah, ask if they want to hug.
Oh, yeah, wait. That's
some people are more like the fist bump, high five. Maybe they even like do chicken wing. Yeah, we can do that too. Yeah, don't just automatically hug someone. Right?
I love that. That's funny.
Oh, jeez, I know. Is there anything else we didn't cover? Because we were bouncing all over the place, but I thought it was important. I was really pissed off about the Tylenol conversation. And, I thought of you. There are a handful of women that I texted, and I was like, who wants to speak about this? And you said yes.
Yeah. And thank you for reaching out. And I do bounce all over the place. And I'm pretty sure you said my brain was probably like popcorn. And I think you're probably...
I said mine was.
Oh, that's funny. Because I thought you were talking about mine. I thought that's super accurate.
Yeah.
But thank you for reaching out. I do think it's important. If I'm being totally transparent, my thoughts aren't organized, and I knew we were going to do this, and I didn't write anything down, and that is intentional to some extent. Do I think I maybe could have had a different conversation about it? Yeah, maybe. But I think the trail that this conversation took today was important.
Yeah. We're being authentic.
Yeah.
We're being people. We're encouraging people to be good humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the thing for the autism mom community, where like often our kids we can't take them a lot of places. We can't do a lot of things. We're constantly seeking community, and our kids are constantly being left out. So I think then, by the nature of it, like, we're sort of championing. How do we
Championing.
being a champion, to be a decent human, because we want people to do that with our kids.
Yeah, that's actually just such a great point. We're just trying to have people show up in an inclusive and thoughtful way.
Yeah.
Because we hope that for the world, the world that our kids are going to grow up in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a really good point, probably to stop on.
Yeah.
The whole be a good human thing.
Kind of sums it up. Really honestly, and then thinking about our core, if you okay, I'm going to say one last thing.
Go ahead.
Probably one last thing.
That's all right.
But trying to think of the right way to say this. If everything you do during the day, if you are unsure which decision to make, you're at a fork in the road. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a good human, which direction do you go? Mm-hmm. You will not make the wrong decision. Now, it might feel awkward and it might feel weird and you might not all these things. It won't be the wrong decision, and it might not pay off instantly.
Yeah.
But it will pay off in the long run every single time. Has not failed me in 37 years.
Yeah, I always lean in with my gut. I didn't always, but now I do. And the whole paying it forward thing, it's been really beneficial, and not just to others, but to me.
I had to do a lot of resetting of, I did a lot. I know I said I was going to say one last thing. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of finding value in things that I actually truly don't find value in, but because it was it was presented to me that way by somebody that I trusted or knew or something. Yeah, sure. And I would say in the last year even, I've done even more of a reset of what is truly, truly valuable to me, and how do I want to show up in my life in a way that encompasses that and fosters that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, I think we probably agree on this. Like, neither one of us went into any of these things to be like a leader. And maybe we kind of are, but it's uncomfortable for us to say it out loud because it wasn't the intention.
No.
We were just trying to help our kids.
Yeah.
And then now we're in a position of some type of leadership, and we know we need to lean into that.
You know, somebody that, when I made my Facebook post, I posted about, actually what I posted about was the terminology of autism moms being weaponized, which I am super upset and passionate about. Mm-hmm. Whatever. I got, although very little, some hate messages, in my inbox on Facebook. And I said, you know what? I said, that's fine. You believe whatever you believe. I felt a responsibility. I really did. I said this. I felt a responsibility to these moms that I see every day to say these things. Mm-hmm. I didn't say it for me. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I hate opening myself up to scrutiny. But I felt the obligation to do it for the greater good, and I did. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't fun, and I didn't love getting messages from people that I haven't talked to in forever. Mm-hmm. But I did it, and I still feel good about it. So.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, you're the only one that has to look yourself in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I do a lot of this stuff. Like being an advocate or being an activist is not for the faint of heart at all.
Well, no, and let's just add to that, just being an autism mom. That's its own. We're living like 3 lives simultaneously.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But there's value in it.
Oh, absolutely.
And anyways, that's what we're trying to say to everybody. We had a hard conversation today. We covered a lot of topics. You don't have to agree with us on everything. But, if you don't take anything else away from this, just take away, lean in.
Yep.
Have the hard conversations. Be a decent human. Try and make good choices. Be present and cognizant of, your role in the community.
And if you are aware, if you're looking around yourself and going, I don't identify with any of these people and I don't know what to believe, look inside yourself and figure out what you really believe. Because you'll find truth there every time.
Yeah. Find your people.
Yep.
All right. I think that's good.
Okay.
All right. We'll see
Thank
you
you.
next time. We are at a pivotal point in American history. We do not have the luxury to remain silent. Programs are disappearing every day. We hope that this podcast raises awareness and sparks a sense of advocacy in you. We all can make a difference. The important thing is to start. See you next time.